welcome back to Making Finances Sexy. It is me, for short, aka the Red Queen. Come down the rabbit hole with me. I am the CEO of Chronicle Luxury, as well as a realtor here in the Phoenix Valley and a financial consultant. It is my mission to help you build your dream life, live your dream lifestyle, fire your boss, and just live your best life. And with me, of course, is the wonderful and talented Miss Jessica Lay.
What's up, everybody? I'm Jessica, your rent rave owned realtor and certified instructor with 101 Financial, right here in the Valley of the Sun as well. It's my mission to help you transition from renting to homeownership, no matter your situation. I'm here to be your personal finance coach and first-time home buyer specialist.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, we don't sound ready, but we're ready.
Oh yeah, always kind of ready.
Yes. And today we're going to talk about something that I think a lot of people struggle with, and that is how do you start your own online business or your own, even if it's, like an Etsy store or like a craft business, how do you start that when you're still working for someone else? And it's not an easy task, but it's not impossible.
Yeah, it definitely isn't easy. It's just if you're really passionate about that thing you want to do outside of your full-time job, then it makes it a little bit easier. So just make sure that what you're chasing is truly something you're passionate about, because for most times you won't stick with it if you're not fully committed.
Yeah, and that's why knowing your why is important too, which we talk about all the time, right? If you have a strong enough why, the hours you're putting in, the late nights, the early mornings, the whatever it is going to be a whole lot easier. So first and foremost, identify your why. Second thing is treat it like an actual business, right? So you put in 40 hours of clocked in work for your job. You're probably in traffic at least an hour, hour and a half per day. So that time adds up as well. So, and then if your boss is one of those that calls you after work, you're probably looking at about 60 hours a week that you're actually putting in for someone else. Now, I'm not saying put in 60 hours a week for your own business as well, because that leaves very little time for sleeping. But you should be putting in as much, if not more, effort into building your business as you are to the job you're currently working. We say it all the time, working for someone else is never going to give you that time freedom. It's never going to give you that super cash positive flow that starting your own business can. So make sure you're putting in the time for yourself. Remember, this is for future you.
Yeah, and everybody's time will be different for what they can pour in. You have to really evaluate like your current situation. If you have kids, you gotta like work around the time when you're putting them to bed or bathing them, whatever. Setting aside at least 1 hour to yourself to pour into your business a day can honestly go a long way. It doesn't sound like much, but it really does make a difference. If you have 3 hours in your day that you can set aside for your business, go for it. But you definitely need to tailor it to whatever your current situation is.
Yep. And schedule it and stick to it, right? So if you're late at your job, your boss is going to hold you accountable. You have to hold yourself accountable once you start becoming an entrepreneur. And in the beginning, your family might not understand what you're doing, why you're doing it, things like that. Just try to work around that schedule. If they don't really support you, it's going to be 10 times harder if they don't support you and they're harping on you for disappearing for an hour and an hour and a half every night. So just make sure you are working around those parameters.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. And setting clear boundaries between work and your personal life is a huge deal. I recently just kind of figured this out because I was under that mindset like, I'm never going to be successful if I'm not hounding on my business every like waking moment, basically. But honestly, we need to balance work and our personal lives to avoid this burnout.
Yes. Particularly if you are working for somebody else too. You don't want it to start affecting your 9 to 5. because that could lead to negative repercussions from your boss. And if you're not ready to walk away from the job getting fired because you're too tired because you're working on your own business, it's probably not going to be the best thing. So it goes back to time management. And with time management, I tell all leaders this: you have to be able to differentiate between what is important and what is imperative, because they are not necessarily the same thing. Something can be important, but it does not need to be done right now, whereas something imperative needs to be done right now, right? So it's important to continue your education, and it's also important to learn the basic skills. Well, it's probably more imperative that you learn the basic skills before you try to step up to the next form of education, which is a really black and white, cut and dry way to explain it. But really sit down and prioritize, what do you need to take care of now versus what do you need to take care of down the road?
Oh, definitely. And leveraging productivity tools and automation is a big thing. Like, we love the tools that we get as like real estate agents. We can just set up our newsletters or emails or property reports and have those just automatically sending once a week, or setting up our clients on house searches. We're not constantly having to scroll through and like look at houses every day. Like, using the tools that are available to really automate your business is a biggie and a really big game changer, especially if you are working a full-time job.
Yeah. And especially if you're just starting out, there are some free softwares out there that will help you. There are some that obviously will charge an arm and a leg, but there are some free ones that we'll link to in the description that are funnel builders, CRMs, everything like that. So you can get people to view your product, get them into an email sequence, automate your email sequence. And that just makes everything a whole lot easier, because then you can spend, 2 hours on the weekend writing a week's worth of emails, or 2 weeks worth of emails if you're good. And then you can eventually get ahead, as long as you keep the discipline and keep consistent with what you're doing. So, how do you avoid burnout though, right? Because now we're talking about, let's say you're getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning already, you're going to the gym, getting breakfast, you're at work by 9 because you have to leave the house by 8 because of traffic, you work until 5. You have traffic on the way home. You don't get home till 6:30. You eat dinner at 7. Spend time with your kids from 7 to 8. Put the kids down to 8. And now you're looking at your normal wind down time to start working on your business, right? You're gonna have to give up some of that wind down time for a while. That means no Netflix, no YouTube, no, whatever your go-to is at night to disconnect. Your disconnect time is gonna be a whole lot less, and you're gonna have to get a little bit better about being able to disconnect quickly, right? Because now you're going to spend an hour on your business, and then you're probably going to only have about half an hour to really get your brain calmed back down to get to sleep on time. So it is a skill set that you will learn. It's going to be difficult at the beginning, but it's absolutely worth it. And, maybe when you start out, you do half an hour instead of an hour. And maybe you have one night a week where you don't work on your business because you need that break. So don't be afraid to schedule in breaks for yourself, just to keep yourself from, again, from burning out, from being too tired to do your daily job, from being too tired to actually focus on building your business.
I guess my advice for getting started would be prioritizing your self-care. Maybe start by like giving yourself 30 minutes to get some good exercise a little bit earlier in the morning, eating healthier. Like, that really tends to get your brain able to think clear, and just any way you can energize yourself more helps, because then after a long day of work, you can set aside the 30 minutes or an hour to learn something to better yourself in your business. So yeah, just increasing those energy levels can make all the difference to put you in a more elevated mindset to really focus on your business even after a long days of work. Cutting out the Netflix does help a lot too. I used to be, well, Kalani still loves to unwind by watching a show or whatever, but honestly, like, that's just not my jam anymore. I love to like unwind by reading a book. before bed. Like even 20, 30 minutes of reading can really get me to go to sleep even after like working on my business right before then. Things like
Yeah.
that.
And utilize your drive time, right? Like if there's some trainings you need to do or some podcasts you want to listen to, they're designed to help you with building your business. Listen to those on the way to work, on the way home from work. You're probably not going to be 100% focused on them, no, but it at least starts getting your brain going, and then you're just getting a little bit more information. And if it's an hour and a half drive, like I said, if it's a 30-minute training, listen to it 3 times, right? Just put it on repeat because you will soak up the knowledge. So you can still use those, what we would normally call dead hours, because they're transportation hours, to work on your business, especially if you're taking local transportation or if you have the benefit of being in a city that has like subways. That's a great time to go ahead and start getting your brain into that.
Totally. And embrace a marathon mindset. It's not a sprint. Building
Yeah,
your business is going to take time. And you know me, I'm pretty impatient, but
we
finally
both
I'm
are.
understanding. It's okay that things are slow. That's actually a good thing because you want to build authentic, real relationships and a good business for yourself and for who you want to help or whatever you want to sell things or there's so many
Yeah,
opportunities.
depending on your product, like it might take,
Yeah.
6, 9 months to build a really good customer base and to build that know, like, and trust to where they're actually gonna start buying from you, or, they see the work you put into it, so they believe the quality's good or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
So it's not a bad thing to take the time. And if there's some stuff that you just don't have time for, or you just can't figure out, don't be afraid to outsource. So Fiverr, Upwork, maybe other people within the niche or the space that you're working in. Reach out to them and find out, maybe video editing isn't your jam, but you want to do podcasts. You outsource the video editing. Or maybe you love social media, you love doing the videos, but you don't like blogging. Outsource the blogging. Like obviously you don't want to be spending too much capital in the very beginning, but you can outsource pretty easily and get some pretty cheap assistance from those other options, especially with people who are just starting out as freelancers themselves. A lot of times they'll trade work for testimonials, and that might be a way just to take it off your plate for a while. And then even if you don't like them, do the testimonial, then maybe move on to the next one, move on to the next one. So there's plenty of ways. It takes a little bit more time, obviously, because again, you need to treat it like a business. You need to interview the people that you are trying to outsource to, make sure that their goals align with yours. I kind of screwed up when I first started affiliate marketing and outsourced my social media to somebody who never once asked me like what my product was, what my goals were. And so the videos they were posting, they had nothing to do with my personality. And I was like, okay, that was a bad decision. But I was out $50. It wasn't a huge deal.
Yeah, but still it kind of like wastes your time. So that's like a big thing is building your supportive network and make sure you're communicating with and asking questions to people that can relate to what you're going for.
And then, of course, if gaming with your friends Thursday nights is your theme, you don't want to give it up. Okay, game with your friends on Thursday nights. Like, you don't have to give up your entire life to build your dream life, but you do need to cut out and carve out time to work on your business, to really focus on it, because your business will work for you once you put in the work for your business. And that could take 3, 4, 5 years, but that's okay, right? Because again, it's a marathon, not a sprint. And so
Yeah.
celebrating the small wins is a huge thing. Like we talk about it all the time. Don't be afraid to be like, you know what? I didn't make sales this week, but I added 5 subscribers to my email list and I added 10 followers to my social media or whatever it may be, right? Celebrate those little things and continue to grow from that perspective. Don't get caught in the, well, I'm not an overnight success, so I need to quit. Most overnight successes have put in work for years that they don't talk about.
Yes. Yep. just don't give up. We've felt it many times, you know, like that
Oh yeah.
icky feeling of like, what am I doing this for? But as long
Or
as
what
you
am I
fit
doing
in,
wrong? Like, why can't I make
yeah,
this work?
exactly. So fitting in regular breaks is huge too. I've realized like if the weekend's here and I had a bunch on my to-do list or whatever, but I wake up just in a terrible mental state, you don't need to force yourself to work for yourself all the time. So that's the great thing about working for yourself. You know, you don't have a boss telling you, get to work.
Yeah.
You know,
It's
like
good and
when
bad,
you,
right? It's two sides
yeah,
to the coin.
taking breaks is really important. What I personally been doing is on the weekends is one day I'll work on my business or at least half the day and then take the other half of the day to relax. Or if I do a full day of work for myself, then Sunday I just, you know, recoup, relax. That helps me get more ideas for the new week or whatever, and you feel better, you're not all stressed out, and then you can keep on plugging away.
For sure. So that is pretty much it, guys. It's not a magic formula. The other thing you need to know, the last thing I'd say you need to know is know when you're approaching burnout, right? So often we don't realize that we're in burnout until we're fully in burnout. Because I was that person. I was like, I never burn out. I'm fine. I could do this all the time. And then looking back, I was like, oh no, I was in burnout for 6 months. I just didn't realize it. So learn to recognize what burnout looks like to you or feels like to you. And when you start
Mhm.
approaching that, that's when, maybe schedule in, okay, well, this next week, I'm only going to work on my business Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I'm going to take Tuesday off as well, or whatever it may be, so that you don't burn out. Because even if you're passionate, there was a creator who said, if you're a content creator creating about things you love, you'll never run out of inspiration. And on the one hand, they're right. But on the other hand, you're gonna get to a point, there's gonna be one day where you're like, I don't care about filming any part of my life right now. I just want to experience it, right? And that's okay. And that's where B-roll, that's where having your content buckets, your backlog of videos is really, really handy. So even if you're passionate about it, there's gonna be days that you don't want to create content, you don't want to be on camera, you don't want to write a blog, and that's fine.
Yep, exactly. And if your boss is kind of cool enough, maybe communicate with them about what your goals and aspirations are. They might be open or even give you some inspiration as business owners themselves, you know. They could also, you could also work with them or they could work with you to help with your schedule, like your work schedule. Maybe there's some flexibility there that you don't know about unless you ask.
That's it, guys. That's the formula. And if you're truly stagnating and you don't know why, again, reach out. There's plenty of people in the online marketing and the digital marketing space out there. There's plenty of programs. There's plenty of people willing to help. Like, if you need coaching, you need whatever, comment or DM me. I can hook you up with whatever coach is appropriate for, what you're doing. But don't be afraid to reach out for help. You're gonna get the people who just send you a YouTube link, because I've had that multiple times, or you're gonna get people who just send you their affiliate link to their program. And if they do that, I would say run. But there's a good bunch of people who will talk you through it, try to determine what your problem actually is, and then try to solve that problem. And then next week, Ms. Jess is going to talk to us about the mortgage pre-approval secrets, because she just went through all that.
Yeah, let's buy a house.